Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
I'm James Wesley. This is my husband, Seth Rudetsky, and welcome to Stars in the House.
Yeah, what he said. Stars in the House. We are every single day, 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. and Eastern. That is, you can watch all the old episodes at starsinthehouse.com. And we are daily, twice daily, have funness to bring the world together, talk about performing, talk about the arts, but also we're here to raise money for the Actors Fund.
Normally.
Right.
Because tonight's an exception.
Yes, correctamundo.
But we do want to say that last night was our 100th show, and in those 100 shows, thanks to Stars in the House, we are at $300,850 raised for the Actors Fund and Stars in the House.
Because of generous donors like you, which is really true, though. It's just because of everybody that. Oh, yeah, it's because of everyone that watches and donates. So, thank you guys. What else I want to say quickly? We're on a literalness tonight. We're always live, but if we go over, we're not gonna cut into Maude, whatever our next show is. Why is 70s reference? But tonight we have to be over by 9 because this is beginning at 9, so we're gonna be very to the minute. What else?
Well,
no, just kidding. What?
Well, we're here because to support kids in high school that are graduating. So you want to explain how this is a little bit different, Seth, for the charities today?
Yeah, we're celebrating. We're raising money for 3 different charities. First of all,
right here.
Yeah, we're focusing on Orange County School of the Arts, OCSA. But it's not how you spelled OCSA. But anyway, whatever. We got to add some vowels. We're celebrating OCSA. We're also benefiting Gen Z Stay Home, which is to make young people stay the hell home and wear an effing mask. And what's the last thing?
The Educational Theater Foundation.
Oh, which is basically my version of IT. It was ITS. It's International Investment Society, but it's kind of changed name. So we're celebrating all 3 things. We're going to give you more details about that.
So tonight, when you donate at starsinthehouse.com, you'll see the donate button, and it will allow us to divide the money 3 ways between those 3 organizations that are helping kids.
So you just donate, right? So you just donate to that one to starsinthehouse.com, and then it'll be divided between those 3 different charities.
That's right.
Okay.
And
so
I think we were going to show, actually, because it's kind of tied in to what's going to be happening on Sundays beginning at 2 o'clock.
So, every Wednesday and Saturday we have plays in the house. Wednesday, 2 p.m., Saturdays, 8 p.m. We began weeks ago with the Heidi Chronicles with the whole original cast. We did Buddy Mears. We did Charles Bush's plays. We have coming up on Saturday.
Beckett's Happy Days with Brooke Adams and Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah, Brooke Adams and Tony Shalhoub are back. Anyway, so we have great stuff coming up. But there's so many high schools aren't doing plays anymore, and they had to cancel their spring plays. So now we're starting plays in the house junior. So it's very tight into tonight.
And junior isn't like elementary school. Like these are definitely.
It's a little risque. But the point is, it's with kids. It's with 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old people performing. Anika Larson, Tony nominated for Beautiful, starred in Unbroken Circle off Broadway, starred in Disaster off Broadway. She is leading the whole thing, and her associate is a friend of ours, Julie Wesley, our child. So it's between Anika and Julie, and they're both running it together. And the first play is this Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern.
That's right here.
So we have one of the stars of Dear Evan Hansen giving a little promo.
No, this is I think from is it Samantha? You have both Andrew Feldman, or do you have Samantha Williams?
Just from Dear Evan Hansen.
I think Carolina changed
from Dear Evan Hansen.
Okay.
This is the kind of live fighting.
That's right.
That people want to
see after being together nonstop.
Oh wait, she's also from Carolina Change, but she's originally from Dear Evan Hansen.
Well, I didn't know that. See, I learned something.
You got to focus on the video.
Let me watch.
Hi everyone, Samantha Williams here. You may know me from Dear Evan Hansen or Carolina.
Okay, let's just take in that we had to argue for 5 minutes about something I knew was right.
Totally right. I'm gonna drink. I can admit I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hi everyone, Samantha Williams here. You may know me from Dear Evan Hansen or Carolina Change, but this Sunday I'll be reading the play I and You with my dear friend Andrew Barth Feldman. It's going to be on starsinthehouse.com at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Sunday, hosted by Julie Wesley. It's going to be a blast. The play is amazing, and we're having so much fun reading it and kind of digging into it. So I can't wait for y'all to see. And remember, it's live, so anything can happen. Anyways, tune in.
Yay.
It's totally apropos for today, actually.
Yes, everything is live. So that's Sunday, 2 p.m. Plays in the House Junior. All right, so here we go. So first we have some B-roll. So you guys know the title of the show, like one of my absolute favorite shows, saw it 10 times. The next show they wrote was Now Hear This, which I also saw so many different incarnations, including I saw so many different versions of Heidi with Tomorrow, with Susan being the voice in her head. I remember I can't shut my mouth. I remember so many versions. So here's the B-roll from the Vineyard version, which of course I saw. Here we go. Yeah. It's called Now Hear This.
the start, I try to know where I am going. Days filled with dreams that none of my seams will ever be showing. Scared of what I will find. How will I ever make it through? When I finally own I can go it alone, then comes you. When I go to move, I always know you're there beside me. No matter what I do, you somehow see.
It's not quite the vineyard anymore. However, you get the essence of what the show is. It's everyone's high school stories turned into universal stories for everybody. So let me bring on that original cast, and we're going to talk about how the show is really morphed into something incredible. So, David, you can bring everybody now. So first, Heidi Blickenstaff, the beautiful voice we just heard. Hey, Heidi.
Hi, you guys. How's everybody doing?
All good.
Hey.
Then we have
Good.
the book writers, Susan Blackwell and Hunter Bell.
Hi, everybody. Happy
Hi, guys.
100th show.
Mercy Buttercups.
Thank you.
And then we have direct from the 1880s, Jeff Bowen, who's dressed in his finest.
Uh,
Hi, guys.
I can't. Hi, Jeffy. Okay, so tell us here. I want to make sure I'm
I
seeing
just want to, before we start, if you might recognize this from the B-roll.
oh, I was wondering why you put that on, Jeffy.
Because it's the time.
So you took your costume.
I did. I stole my costume. Sorry, Doug.
I didn't
Abel.
do mine.
Okay, so Hunter and Susan, why don't you guys describe what now here this is, and then we can talk about how it morphed.
You go. Get in there. Well, after we, loved making something together with title of show, we had an idea to do a deeper dive, and we had done a lot of these one-off concerts and benefits for Actors Fund, for the Rosie Cruise and things, and developed this kind of storytelling hybrid of song. And sometimes in the early days, it was using existing music. And then later on, we were like, Jeff Bowen, write us original stuff. So weaving songs into stories, and we had the safety net, and we took autobiographical stories and linked them together and made a show. Yeah.
About your high school years.
About all kind of formative years, different, kind of like little kids, high school, and even a few adult things as well, and examining how hard it is to stay present in our lives.
So it's very autobiographical. So how did you guys decide to change? I mean, why did you guys try to change it? Because it was weird to be like, hi, my name is Hunter Bell and I have red hair, and like it's played by like a girl. Like, why did you
the show never, we were like called man one, man two, woman one, woman two. We never said each other's names in the show, just trying to keep it as universal as possible. But then we had an idea, maybe like a little over a year ago, that we wanted to expand it to make it as expansive and as inclusive as possible, so that a theater that had a cast of 14 or 40 or 400, that they could do the show. And we also made it as non-gendered as possible, so as many different kinds of people could play as many different kinds of roles as possible.
And did people start doing it that way, this new version?
Well, it's happening now.
Tonight. It starts tonight. Yeah.
Perfect lead in.
I hope they do. But it's similar to title show, that same thing. I love making work of, especially for students that, there's the person like, oh, they're going to play Lori, they're going to play Curly, that, and that this is anybody can play anything. And I just love that too, of just like serving as many creative, talented students that people have.
Or performers.
Yeah, it excites me.
They don't even have to be student performers, just performers.
Yeah, true.
But wait a minute. So was the OCSA production going to be the first one that was going to be in this new inclusive way? It was literally going to be the first one.
Correct.
And were you going to fly out to California and be there? I'm guessing.
Yeah, we were supposed to go to rehearse with the students and workshop it and test to see if the way that we communicated all of this expansion in the script made sense. And then, of course, the pandemic struck and every piece of theater got canceled, including this one.
So how did you adjust?
We still decided to go ahead and do some master classes with the students. And one of the master classes that I was doing with the students is a workshop that I developed with Thomas Schulteis called Let Me Try That Again. And it's all about processing tough stuff that comes at you, flaming curveballs, pandemics, and how to be resilient and how to bounce back. And I was like, hey, we did a read through of the show on Zoom conference. And I was like, hey, speaking of Let Me Try That Again, what would you think if this was virtual? And just the blank stares that came back, like, what if we tried doing this virtually? And the Zoom conference was just like, in fact, there's footage of it. We have footage of it, and you can just see like the blank stares on their faces.
But isn't that just typical teenagers? Aren't they always blank?
This was especially blank, I think. Also, just how do we do this? How do you tackle this? Especially as a musical, we see a lot of play readings, and you can get your mind on, I say my line, you say your line, but how do you edit it? How do you harmonize? How do you do the tracks? And what I loved was the gameness of the directors, Scott and Peter and Christopher, their music director, and all those students were confused and terrified, had no idea how to do it. But I always loved that image in the Indiana Jones where he takes that step and there's no step there and it just appears, of just taking a chance on it and not letting be perfect the enemy of good, and seeing what you can accomplish in this time. All those students and teachers have lost so much, like everybody. And, our heart breaks for our beloved Broadway, but all these regional theaters and all these high school kids, especially seniors
and
who
college students.
This is my show. And to figure out any way, and that's why I love what you guys are doing with the series on Sunday to start, because we need this. We need to take care of each other, all ages and artists, professional, student, college, high school, and encourage people to make things, because I don't want this to be a total wash and loss. And that's what's so exciting about this.
Well, we'll talk how you're so good about that, because you work with the educational theater people. But we're about to show the sizzle reel. So was this sizzle promo made before it went virtual, or is this sizzle promo?
This sort of is a little bit, you'll get to see the moment when I float this to the students, and then what became of it.
Wow, we see the blank face. All right, David, hit it.
Would you start just seeing if anything comes to you about how each of these modules, like what they could be like, if it was like a little music video or a little film? I don't care how they see you. I want people to see your work. I want people to see you. I believe in you so much. That's all. So let's just try. Let's just try something. Let's try an experiment, and let's really see if we can remain in the now hear this.
I want more life. I want more life. Where will I find it? What will it feel like? Find it? What will it feel like? And when is it coming?
Oh my God, we're like, wow, May 14th was so recent. We're like, wait, that's today.
That's now.
Now hear this,
Baby.
So it's happening tonight, right after this. That's why we have to end by 9 o'clock. So Heidi, have you been watching rehearsals? Like, is someone else telling your story about stage fright? Like, how weird is it to see someone else talking to you?
I have been keeping up with the little videos that they have been making of the different numbers. And these kids are really astounding. And it's always crazy to wrap your head around when you put autobiographical material out into the world, and then other people take it and make something of their own out of it. You're like, oh my God, that's my story about like telling my Christmas festival story and like talking about
except
my
when
dad.
Seth played Jeff. When Seth played Jeff, it worked.
Right. But it's it's very surreal, but also really lovely to be passing the torch in this way, these kids and Scotty, their director, who I did Mormon with 1,000,000 years ago, who's the greatest guy in the world, they're in such great hands. Like, it's really great to see them embrace this material and make it their own.
And so, Jeff, did you reharmonize everything for 1,000,000 children? How did you do it?
No, not really. I mean, we just sort of set it up so that they could double, triple the voices where they needed to, or change octaves. But I don't believe, even as far as I know, I don't even think any keys were changed. I think that they just sort of jumped in where they could. And what I've heard sounds good. I thought it sounds good. And actually the band sounds really good. They did it with a 4-piece band, and it sounds great. The music sounds phenomenal. I'm super happy.
Anyone's better than Larry. Oh, what? I'm sorry. He's not here.
He's watching this, Seth. You better say sorry.
Sorry, Larry.
Let's get in the live comments and tear it down.
I know. I'm going to get TOS busted. Okay, I got to bring on
Sweeney Lover 12.
the 2 co-directors, Peter Mariano. Hi, Peter.
Hello.
Wait, are you related to Patty Mariano?
No.
Oh, you know, she's probably that music man. All right, just saying. And Scott Barnhart is the other co-director. Come on, Scott. Hi, Scott.
Hi.
So you guys work at OCSA. You work at the school?
Yep.
Oh, Scott, you're on mute.
Scott, you're muted. Hold on.
No, I think. Oh,
you
have
muted
to
yourself.
Unmute yourself, Scott.
Yeah, Scott, unmute yourself.
Can't have nice things.
Thank you.
I'm the director of the conservatory, and then Peter and I co-directed this show together.
It's conservatoire, though, I think, to make it more fancy.
Conservatoire.
Now, is this place like where Matt Morrison went in 70J Block, or is it like the
Matt
rival?
Morrison, Susan Egan, Krista Rodriguez. It is that. We got quite a roster. Stephanie Block, Lindsay Mendez.
Yes, ma'am. Very fascinating with all of them. So when they suggest the idea of doing it virtually, I mean, it's funny that anyone was in shock, because if I were a kid, I'd be like, anything to keep doing a show. I would think they'd be more overjoyed. But like I said, teenagers, they're always blank. So were you guys excited at least? Did you have life in your face?
I think we were excited, but just like it was less blank and more question mark. Like,
yeah, I was pretty terrified, to be honest. we were getting ready to ask like 20 high school theater students to become filmmakers. So that was something that really scared me, but they proved us wrong, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and it was all just for this idea of giving them a finish line, this idea of really giving them that moment, especially these 11 seniors.
I'm curious, like how far into school being closed did y'all decide that you were going to do this? Like how many days were there were like, we don't know if it's going to happen, it may be canceled? Were there?
So we got canceled, like everything got shut down on like the 12th. And I want to say of March. And then I think within 10 or 12 days, we were on our way. That following week is when we did the masterclass with Susan. And then, so we had sort of like a week to kind of group ourselves and, take some deep breaths. And then that following Monday, we sort of tested out 2 numbers. We just followed breadcrumbs. We didn't like set out to do the whole thing at first. We said, okay, let's just see if we can get 1 or 2 numbers done. And then once we saw that it worked and we learned some like tips and tricks, then we started, rolling out the rest of the numbers in the show.
So by the way, Peter, are you making the bold choice of broadcasting from your closet? Because I'm fascinated by...
No, it's actually a little nook. It's my little office nook.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, so talk to me for a second. So how is it done? Like people, people like recorded and then like it was mixed by somebody else. Like what was the process?
Yeah, well, speaking of the closet, we sent our students into their closets to record all of their audio. It's pretty incredible. So thank you, closets. Yeah, and iPhones and all of their wonderful technology that they have access to, which has been amazing.
Wow.
Yeah,
because, by the way, for people listening, it's better in a closet because the sound is very limited. There's not a big spread, so that's why. He's not just crazy. Continue. What are you going to say, Jeff?
Well, we would give them a track, and then they would record their vocal on that. We'd combine all the vocals through Soundtrap, which is an amazing online platform that we used, and we would sort of line up the vocals and then send that music track back to the cast. and we'd give them sort of a shot list, and they would have to sing along with that track. So that way they could, they would line up with the music. And then they would upload that footage to a Google Drive, and then we'd start compiling it. We brought on 2 amazing video editors, Brett and Kristen, that just did amazing work with us. And then from there, we would just do, reshoots. We would have them re-record. Once we saw what we had, we would just go back to the drawing board, and we definitely cracked a lot of eggs to make this omelet. So there's a lot of footage, the extra blooper footage.
I think for people watching, because I think that we can probably all agree there's a good possibility that this will be how productions will be done next school year. I know for us, when we started this, Broadway shut down, March 12th, and we had the idea to do this on March 14th, and we started our first show on March 16th, and technology was like, God, I mean, thank God we had David Katz to help us, but it was really just us, and we're still figuring it out. What would you say to teachers watching who are really intimidated by the technology aspect of all of this?
I would say the biggest thing is and this is Susan's words that literally burned in the back of my head just throughout this process, was it's not about perfection. It's just about progress. It's always in the spirit of progress. So you sort of have to be willing to fail a little bit and trust that you'll get to the other side, and grant grace, and just allow, if everyone knows you're testing something out and they have that right mindset, then you can sort of move forward and see what's working.
That's so great.
Yeah,
so well said.
I love that. Let me ask you something else. So all the scenes are also filmed in advance?
Everything. We learned Zoom. We could do scenes in real time, because the Zoom scenes felt like they were in the room at the same time, essentially. But when they tried to do their scenes and we shot it separately, we couldn't get the real scene work. But in Zoom, we would get in there, we would cancel our camera, and we would be in the room sort of directing them, just like voice of God, and they would make the scenes happen.
I guess here's my question for the future of this project, because I'm thinking about our platform, which is StreamYard.com. Couldn't you have all the videos preset and then do the scenes live and then cut to the video? So it's a combination of live and videoed. Okay,
totally.
So depends on the size of the cast, but yeah, because you can only get 10 people on this platform, and I know you probably have 40 in your show?
We have 20 plus 9 docents, so about 29.
Yeah, so it wouldn't work for that, but I'm thinking there was a way to maybe do both, where it's half video, half
who
live.
knows, by the time the fall rolls around.
Yeah, we played with the idea of doing a bunch of the show pre-recorded and then having maybe just the end flow into real time.
Yeah.
But I think all of our anxiety levels and blood pressure was just what, maybe we'll just get it pre-recorded and load it up.
Well, if anybody saw the wonderful title of show Stars in the House, where Hunter appeared twice in a log cabin and just blacked out. And then at the beginning of this show, Jeff Bowen, he's so blank, like a teenager, that we thought he was thinking, but we realized he was actually frozen on screen.
Or I could have been asleep.
So I agree, there are technical problems. Thank you, though. Okay, we got to go in order. We're trying to be careful here. So we're going to... Okay, we have a few more minutes.
Hold on, right here, Seth. That's good.
Oh, wait, what? Say it.
What about licensing? Yeah,
can we license this if we like it at 9 o'clock? How does my school do it?
You can go to concordtheatricals.com, and there is a page for Now Hear This flexible version. And you can put an inquiry in, and pretty soon licensing will be available for virtual productions and live productions, God willing, eventually.
Yeah, I think what I'm so excited too about, and if for all my teachers watching and theater students watching, thank you. I think you've all been thrown, into this fire in a way that many others haven't, and everything's gone online. And so the idea of creating something that may give you a little bit of hope, or an idea of, because even if schools may reopen, it may be a minute before some live theater happens, and these beautiful young artists and students and high school theater kids are going to need, they're going to need their shows, and we got to keep fighting to figure out ways to give them opportunities, experiences, and things for the teachers to direct and things for the students to perform in. So I hope this not only inspires other people to do this and try it, and even try it on a small thing, try one number, try two numbers, to remind you that anything is possible and inspire other writers and productions to follow suit as well, so we can help these programs.
Let me ask you, this version of Now Hear This, which we kind of skipped over, is it a version where the students are also kind of writing their own Now Hear This stories within it? So it's not just the original vineyard script, it's been expanded?
All the material is set. There's a lot of flexibility in that and lots of ways that people can customize it, but they can't insert their own material. But even with that limitation, there is so much flexibility in this script.
Okay, so that way the structure stays the same, the ups and the downs, but it's not like, but when I was 8, one time I fell. Like,
Right.
But if you're so inclined to go do that on yourself and write your own musical and put it on, Die Vampire Die, and rock it. Rock the musical theater.
Okay, we have 2 minutes, so I have to bring on the kids. If you will, Susan, please tell the story that was cut from Now Hear This and I'm obsessed with. When you fell as a child.
Oh,
I'm so glad you remember this because I'd even forgotten it, and it is so good.
so, we like Heidi was saying, there's a lot of autobiographical material in the show, and a story that was cut is that as a child, I really, really didn't want to go to school, and I found all sorts of elaborate ways of getting out of school.
I love we're touting education, everything, and cut to a story. I don't want to go to school. Continue.
In any event, it was a icy cold morning, and the driveway was slick with ice, and I took a legit spill, like my feet flew out from under me, and I hit the ground, and then I just spontaneously was like, I'm gonna shut my jaw. And I convinced my parents that I could not shut my mouth. So everything got canceled. I remember sitting on my dad's lap in a waiting room for a really long time with my mouth open, drool coming out, a tissue, just like, oh, they thought I had totally broken or dislocated my jaw.
The commitment to the craft. Let's acknowledge that.
To the craft. And then we finally got seen by the doctor, and he felt my jaw carefully, fastidiously, and then he said, can you try shutting your mouth for me? And I just went, dun, 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 dun. School. Hashtag education matters.
Oh my gosh. Hold on, before we go to the next. Heidi, between Heidi, Scott, and Susan, I think, how about you just telling us about the 3 foundations that we want people to donate to today? So who wants to go first? Scott, you want to go with OCSA and what that is?
Yeah, the OCSA Foundation is sort of our nonprofit wing for the school, for the Orange County School of the Arts, and it helps support our tuition-free we're a tuition-free public charter school. So it's in support of that. There's lots of scholarships and just funding for all the students who attend our school.
And Hunter and Susan, you want to talk about the Educational Theater Foundation? Hunter?
I will. I probably serve on the board of the Educational Theater Association, and I'm also probably on the board of the Educational Theater Foundation. We had a board meeting today, and it is the philanthropic arm of EDTA, which supports theaters and students and International Thespian Society. So shout out to all my thespians out there. Type in your troop number in the chat. What? Let me hear you. And so they are so innovative. They're moving the festival that they have in the summer, which Seth, you've been to and worked with the kids so beautifully. That's going to be the virtual ITF. So look for that online. So kids have opportunity to do their shows, competitions, college scholarships. All of that will still go on virtually. And the Educational Theater Foundation raises money and provides financial support for all kinds of different initiatives to make sure that schools K through 12 have access to school theater and school programs. And we believe that every kid has the right to have school theater in their school.
Talk about the whole musical in a box, that thing that you guys
do. There's an incredible initiative called Jumpstart Theater, which is now in it's expanded to, I don't know how many are now, but it's partnership with regional theaters, the Alliance Theater, La Jolla, Stages, now University of Michigan was just announced, and they partner with a school that has no theater at all, not even a theater teacher. They provide the show in a box. And the idea being, if you get the buy-in of some students, teachers, a few parents, superintendent, and the principal, that you teach a school to fish, teach a school to do a show. And they go in and they train whatever teacher volunteers. It could be a math teacher, it could be a coach, teach them how to do a junior show. And the progress has been amazing. There have been students who have been homeless, who had got a part in the play, and then they kept showing up for school. We all know this on this call of how much theater education, whether or not you go into the business or not, but all of the social and emotional and collaboration, all of those skill sets serve all of these kids. And so that Jumpstart initiative is absolutely incredible. Please go on to Educational Theater Foundation website, give what you can, because they're going to need us. You know, these schools, who's to say what's going to happen? And so they serve these Title I schools, they serve any kind of program that needs help in starting schools. And what's so great to see is most of these schools that are 2 or 3 years in now do a full-fledged musical, and that they have a theater program now, and the stories are so moving. The kids are so moving. We all know this, but I just remind everybody how important it is to have school theater, and so support it, because we need it now more than ever. And especially these kids coming back into programs, I think about the social and emotional needs that we're all going to need to take care of each other, and how theater provides that too.
Hey, Heidi, I know you're going to talk about Gen Z Stay Home later, but just so people can give and know what they're giving to, that's why I wanted to ask now. So there's still time during the show. And,
Yeah.
Just describe it, and we'll have you talk about it a little bit after.
You donate at Stars in the House. It goes to all three. It goes to starsinthehouse.com. Yes.
In a nutshell, my husband and I, during the pandemic, we have been trying to figure out how we can make a difference. And for a long time, we have been wanting to start a nonprofit, and we did. That nonprofit is called Broadway Because, and the first initiative of Broadway Because is Gen Z Stay Home. And the idea we had was to have Gen Zers encourage other Gen Zers to stay home. And there are some OCSA kids that are there are 3 OCSA kids in the Gen Z Stay Home PSA. And that was just sort of like star-crossed, because we put the word out to so many different organizations that we knew we called them liaisons, that we knew had access to Gen Z kids, and we had 3 of the OCSA kids come back. So you'll see those kids in our PSA tonight.
And we'll do the PSA right at the end, but I just wanted you to talk about it for a second before we move on to the next one. Thanks, Heidi.
All right, so Heidi, we're gonna say goodbye to Heidi, Jeff, and Peter for a minute, and then we're gonna bring on 3 of the kids. We're gonna bring on Nathan and Noe and Mariah.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. You guys all go to OCSA?
Heck yes, do. For about a month more.
Half a month more, even. Yeah.
All right. So
yeah, making it last.
Each tell me what was amazing about doing. Hopefully, it was amazing about doing Now Hear This in your experience. Like, this new version of it. Was it? Hopefully, it was just as good as doing the live version, or even different. Nathan, what about for you?
And hold on, before you answer that, it's really 2 parts if you think about it. It's like doing the show, because you had already started working on it before school shut down. So it's almost like a 2-parter. Like, how was it when you first started working on it, and then the second part?
Correct.
Go ahead, Nathan.
For sure. So I would say that with the in-school rehearsal process, it would have been my 6th show at OCSA, it would have been my 4th show at OCSA and 6th show in high school with this group of kids. And so I was sort of in the groove already. I had expectations for what it was going to be. And the process was pretty conventional. We'd started some staging. Dazzle Camouflage was actually one of the first numbers that we worked. So I had a lot of physicalization workshops on that, which was fun. It was a blast to get that character down. But then the pandemic hit, and there was this sort of general uncertainty about what this process was going to be, and if there was going to be a process. You know, we sort of had this idea in our heads of, you know, knowing this particular group of people, we've
got to be able to still do something with this. But I don't think.
No.
Well, we heard him.
Mariah, what was he trying to say?
I think he was speaking to the fact that all of the students at OCSA, especially the amazing group of kids that made up this cast, are all very driven. And once the pandemic hit and we were told that we couldn't have the live production anymore, we really felt like we didn't want it to end there. We couldn't let it just finish there. And we were lucky and very blessed to have Miss Susan Blackwell come and speak to us on a Zoom. And she talked to us about, I'm completely blanking on the name right now, but changing the script, making it, instead of acknowledging something in one light that's negative, hearing it, understanding what the ways that you're feeling, and then flipping it and making it something positive and something that you can continue to move forward on, which I really loved because it's something that you've heard before, but when we took it on with this project, it took on an entirely new meaning.
You lived it, Mariah.
I know. You guys are so much better spoken than I am, apparently, from the last sentence I just even said. But I'm like, it's so scripted. All right. Joey, now what about you? So talk about the experience of going from doing it live into this weird virtual version. You've got the cans. I love it.
I'm sorry. So since this was my last show, as it was for Nathan and for Mariah, I was really excited. And the material was already so personal that to not only Susan and Hunter and the creators, but to us too, because it was a coming of age story. It was our struggles through realizing who we are and creating our own identities. And then this pandemic hit, and actually I thought I have family across the ocean in Japan and in many other places. And for the first time in my life, they get to see me perform, which wouldn't have been available to them if it was a live version. So in that way, I'm very thankful for this, and I'm thankful that it didn't stop. And as Susan said, when she first brought up the idea, we were kind of scared, and I had a lot of questions, but I'm so glad it happened.
Susan, it's so great that you guys have so inspired this generation and found so much positivity. Susan and Hunter, bravo. I mean, you're such negative people in real life, but you're so positive.
Wouldn't it be amazing if it was an elaborate ruse and it was just all an act?
So much work, wouldn't it? But well, and to the students, you know this, Seth, and you guys are so passionate about education and the arts and young people too, that it's an inspiration circle, so this is a rough time for everybody. And on those dark days, to get a little nugget and a treat, yeah, Nathan's back. Scott will tell me something. If we're having a rough day, I look to Stars in the House, and I look to these students having a video to bring some joy that you might even know you need it, but just to see performances and people singing and dancing and lifting you up, the healing powers of that, we as artists, we need it more than ever. And so the inspiration circle is complete with these guys, and it usually always is.
I'm so moved by this. This is so great. So kids, what are you thinking about next year? Are you guys going to do virtual college? Are you going to, I heard some people are just going to take a semester off. What are you thinking?
If I may go first, I'm going to Penn State in the fall to study in a BFA musical theater program, and thus far they haven't decided to do anything online, but they're discussing whether they should make the bigger classes online, which would include the theater program because it is such a small class. But right now I'm working with a lot of my friends so that we could continue a show that we were going to do with Mariah too, that we were going to do at the end of the year over the summer virtually because we were so inspired by this whole process.
I love that.
There it is. That's the name of the game.
What about you, Mariah? You're gonna
Yes, I plan to attend Howard University next fall and to get my BFA in musical theater. I am very, very excited. They also haven't said anything about online classes yet. I think they're really trying to push getting it back into being on campus, but it is in Washington, D.C., so it's still a little bit up in the air.
And Nathan, now that you decided to join us again.
My whole thing just froze. I'll be attending George Washington University in DC for a double major in theater and political science. So as of now, we are trying to do the whole on-campus thing. We actually just had virtual auditions for our first show next semester because it's a BA as opposed to a BFA. They're a little more lenient about letting first years audition. So I was cast. We're doing Antigone for our first production, which is pretty exciting.
That's lighthearted.
Oh my gosh,
right?
That's so
Yeah. But I'm super excited for that. And right now, again, because it's in DC, everything's a little up in the air right now. But so far, there hasn't been any official announcement about us going online. So fingers crossed that I'm headed East Coast next semester.
And fingers crossed your internet works better. All right, in conclusion, so Nathan and Mariah and Noe, we're going to say goodbye, but we're going to see you at 9 o'clock because you're all in Now Hear This. So peace out. So nice meeting you. Right, bye, Nathan. Bye, Mariah. Bye, Noe.
Thank you.
Wonderful meeting you guys. Thank you.
Next up, we're bringing back Jeff and Heidi.
And I think we're saying bye to Scott.
All right. I think we're
Bye, Scott.
Oh,
So
bye,
nice
Scotty.
Seeing you.
All right, guys. Good seeing you. Thank you for this.
I'm so proud of you. Teachers rule.
Yeah.
It is true. Bye-bye. Okay, so should we talk about the new PSA? Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Let me talk for 5 more minutes about Now Hear This. Because I didn't remember until you told me that when we all did that Broadway cruise together, you had those monologues, but all the music was from the 80s. It was like Pat Benatar or something, right?
Right.
We had to get that out of our system, and I'm not sure it is out of my system. Hit it, Heidi.
Never, ever.
So, Jeff, why did you finally, because I love the score so much, why did you first not write the score, and then why did you write the score?
They kept bringing me back in, or whatever that line is. I think we just found that because title of show is sort of semi-autobiographical, the tone and the color of writing for specific people it just ended up being more organic if the music was coming from the monologue that was coming from the story of that actual person. So the more organic it was artistically, the stronger it felt like it became. I enjoyed when I didn't have to do any of that and I could just come out and do a monologue or forget a line. I forgot a lot of lines when we didn't have music. But then we got into it and it was super fun to just really to tack the same would happen in title of show, but to tack, like I think about Give Me Your Attention, Heidi's big first thing, making music around that energy of youth and Christmas and getting to climb back in my own childhood and find songs and sounds and chords and styles that were very much a part of my life, and getting to actually put that in a musical was super fun.
Such great vocal arrangements too. Heidi, so I remember, of course I've seen so many versions of it, but is the whole stage fright thing still in Now Hear This about you having stage fright? Was it all cut?
I think we gently, lovingly let that go. Yeah. I mean, it definitely, we started with that because that is has been historically a very real thing for me. And all of us have little threads of that in our performing lives. And so it was definitely a theme we wanted to explore. But I think once Now Hear This continued to evolve, somehow we just left that in the dust. It evolved into something else. I think all of our avenues became very specific and very, we told very specific stories for very specific reasons. And the stage fright story just kind of was no longer exactly what we needed.
Why don't you tell people, because I think there are a lot of young people watching, why don't you tell everyone what gave you that stage fright? Because I'm sure everyone just listens to you and they're like, your voice is so stunning. And I'm sure people are like, oh, she's always confident. Her voice is never bad. So why don't you talk about what...
Isn't that weird? Because I think a lot of people that you would never suspect so many people have said, you seem like you have ice water running through your veins, that you're so in control when you're singing on stage. And exactly the opposite is true. I've been on stage since I was about 7. And when I was, 9, I was playing Annie, and we had a press event, and I hadn't had stage fright up until that point. We had some kind of weird press event where I was on stage with the dog in Fresno, California, Good Company Players. Hi, everybody. And I was singing Tomorrow, and everybody was out in the house, and I started to sing after answering some questions, and I saw the flash bulbs go off. And for the very first time in my 9-year-old life, I realized it's so crazy, but I put it together that I was being watched. I know that sounds insane, but I became very self-conscious, whereas before I was just free and at home on stage. And suddenly I realized I was being watched, I was being photographed, I was probably being scrutinized, and I had panic rise in my feet. And I always call it the poison flush. And it just filled my entire bloodstream with green goo. And I was on a mic, on one of those old hand mics that had a orange foam head, and with a cord. And I couldn't sing anymore. And I put the microphone back in the stand, and I walked off stage and passed out. And it took a lot to get me back out there. And, now so many years later, and so much therapy, and so much like walking through the belly of the beast. And also, like, it's not, stage fright really isn't something you can ever be cured of. So you have to sort of like embrace it and figure out a way to live with it. These are my words of wisdom, but a lot of people deal with it in different ways, but it's very real for me to this day.
Wow. So fascinating. But that's all we're in the show. I love that the show just evolved, because I love the final version so much. So this version, we're going to watch it in 10 minutes. It's already been filmed and mixed, and it's intermissionless, right?
Yes.
A tight 90.
Okay, so I want to watch the PSA. This is the Gen Z Stay Home. And this is one of the things that we're donating to tonight. If you go to starsinthehouse.com, which is really important, because, Dr. LaPook, he says he may be a downer, but he says you don't want to kill grandma. And he says, yes, you could go out, get COVID-19 if you're a young person. It may not affect you, but you could infect the people around you, and you can literally kill your grandmother, and then you're not allowed to go to the funeral. It's just like horrific. So yours is a little more lighthearted, but I like it. So let's watch the PSA.
Hi. Hey, everyone.
Hey. Hey, y'all.
What's up?
I'm 17.
I'm 20.
19.
18.
I'm staying home because beating COVID-19 is a group effort.
We have more power than we think.
We have the power to stop this.
We have the power to save others. We have the power to help doctors and nurses.
We're going to get there.
Lo lograremos, pero no somos seguros todavía.
But we're not out of the woods yet.
Stay home.
Stay home.
Stay home. Stay home.
Stay home.
Stay home for all of us.
Stay home.
For all of us.
For all of us.
For all of us.
For all of us.
If we stay home now, we'll all be together again before we know it.
We're in this together.
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 Now, it was originally called Gen Z Stay Home, right?
Yeah, but we wanted to appeal to everyone, so we decided to clean it up. This is my husband, Nicholas Rolfing, who is the co-creator of Broadway Because and Gen Z Stay Home.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Nicholas.
That is the 60-second version of the PSA. There's another version that is our baby that's a little more than 3 minutes. And if you go to genzstayhome.org, you can see the whole thing. It has even more OSHA students in it. But we're so proud of it. We really, like, Seth, I know that, these kids who were not minding their stay-at-home orders, those spring break kids in Florida and the kids who were chartering planes to go to Mexico, they were making us crazy. Not to mention my nephew was not minding the stay-at-home order. And we wanted to do something to make a difference. And so we decided to become producers. And we made this PSA. We made it in like 11 days. And we enlisted all the help of our friends, including these ding-dongs. And they helped
Heidi,
us with
it's so nice to finally meet your husband.
I know. I cut his hair, you guys.
What's your name? Jerry?
Wait, I so wish you'd done like when Mr. Burns goes back to elementary school and Susan was like, I'm 16. Like I wish you'd added like
I know. We wanted it to be the kids because
I
everybody
couldn't
knows.
get seen for it. I don't know why I couldn't get
I
seen
know.
for it.
We were able
your grandma.
Cut you out.
You know, when you're a teenager or a young adult, you can't really receive a message from anybody older than you except maybe your peers. And so we were like, they don't want to hear from
What
us.
is this lady? You wouldn't receive a message from her.
Exactly. But now through Broadway Because, which is this nonprofit that we have now formed with the mentorship of BCEFA. Thank you so much, Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS. They taught us everything and like hooked us up with like how to do everything. And because of them, we are going to do more initiatives, including our next initiative, which is Gen Z Go Vote. And we're in the process of producing that PSA, and hopefully we're going to get that generation out to vote. So,
that's so fantastic! What
That
a
is
great idea, man.
Yeah, and we're going to hit up all of these kids again. You OSHA kids, are you listening? Because we're coming for you again. We're going to want you to be in the PSA. And Julie, if Julie wants to be in it, she can be in it.
Oh, yeah, she's literally getting into makeup right now. 100%.
Totally.
Well, hold on. So we want to talk about the variety. Who wants to talk about the Vineyard Theater Variety Special?
Oh yeah.
I'll jump in. I will say we hit our goal. Vineyard Theater hit their goal of over $100,000. So that means the special's on. We get to announce it. Yay! It's for those watching. It's not a recreation of the show, but it's going to be a heck of a good time. We'll be there, sort of a title of show. You know, shenanigans feel with all-star guests and fun and jocularity, in the words of Father Mulcahy from MASH. Anyone? No one? Thank you. And what else you want to say about it? No, so that's going to be, you can still donate at vineyardtheater.org and support them.
Get those numbers up.
Get those numbers up for those guys. And
The more
May
you
30th.
donate, the better the show will be.
The more you donate,
the better the show will be. May 30th. So mark your calendars. Minimum donation of $25 to get a ticket to see the shenanigans.
And is it going to be live? What is it going to be?
We're to TBD. I guess we got to write that thing now because we raised the money. So get cracking. Got to run, everybody. It'll be like pre-recorded, I think, because out of our fear. But there may be a live component at the end that we can interact to. So it's going to be super fun. We're having a great time putting it together. We Heart the Vineyard. They started us with title of show, and now hear this. So it's all kind of come full circle. So we heart those nerds. Come see us on the 30th.
So I also want to, for the kids watching out there that are all like, oh, Jeff and Hunter, Susan and Heidi got their show to Broadway. I'd love to talk about your failure for a moment. Can you guys talk about your first big musical, Hunter and Jeff, that you wrote together, and the one little thing you forgot to check on, the Al Tripoli? Anyway, go.
That's you, Jeff. Get in there.
What are you talking about? 9 to 5?
Yes, ma'am.
You mean 10 to 6, the musical opening online?
Yeah, a friend of ours, Tom Schulteis, said, I think it was him who was just like, you guys should make a musical of 9 to 5. And we're like, okay, we'll do that. And so we got together and wrote a first act. And we did a reading of it, and Sandy Duncan was in it, and she was great. And I think some people from California came, and we learned a very important lesson after doing all that work, and it was that you should secure the rights to the property that you're developing if you want anything to happen with it. But you know what was really amazing was that process is what started Title of Show, because we basically learned, you know what, let's make something where we own every single thing happening. We invented every single thing. There's no right issues involved, and
Tell about the letterhead, Jeff. What letterhead did we use?
when we wrote to California to get the rights, we came up with this production company called Wayne Houston Productions, because my middle name is Wayne and Hunter's middle name is Houston, and it was very formal and just like, to whom it may concern, we're very curious about the rights, et cetera, et cetera.
Please hold Wayne Houston Production.
But anyway, so and since then we've become big proponents of make your own stuff, make your own thing, tell your own story, and own it all in perpetuity.
And how did you get, just the final thing, how did you get, when Title Show first began, which of course is not in the final script, but it was all these famous people leaving phone messages. That was part of the joke of your show. How did you get all those famous people to leave phone messages?
I think through, and shout out to Michael Barres, director of Title Show and Now Hear This. Hi, Michael. Michael called a lot of his fancy friends because he was Fancy Broadway. Jeff, you were doing Idina Menzel's website or the Wicked website or both?
I designed Idina Menzel's website at the time. I was like, Idina, can you do this? And she's like, okay.
Can you give us an example of some of the ones that were in Title of Show?
Oh wait, my favorite is Marin.
Remus was one at one time. What like say with such a deep cut of like Stephen Remus, like I don't want to work on this. They were like such deeper cuts.
What was Heidi going to say?
Sorry, Heidi.
Marin. One of my favorites was Marin. Marin was one of the most game actors on the planet, and just like hung her ego at the door, and she left a message for us, and in the middle of it, she happened to be drinking a Diet Coke and burped. A huge Diet Coke burp in the middle of the message. And then not only did she let us use the take where she burped, but she then proceeded to make many takes of the burp to give us the best, juiciest Diet Coke burp. And that, I believe, made it to Broadway, correct?
Oh, I remember that. It was all about how Hunter and Jeff decided they needed one big star to get the show to Broadway. So they call all these big stars to see if they'll do Title of the Show, and all the stars call them back throughout the show, and they all say no. But I remember the Sutton one. Remember Sutton was like, "Oh my God, Hunter, I totally want to do a musical with you. Us siblings should stick together." Hunter Bell, who the fuck is that?
The other Hunter. I forgot about that set. That's a quality joke.
It was really good.
Okay.
All right, so
on that note, everyone's got to get to
bathroom break because the show's gonna begin at 9 o'clock.
So
pop your popcorn.
That's right.
Support, and it'll run all weekend. Tonight's opening night, and it runs on the OCSA site all weekend long
through May 17th.
So May 17th, but it's opening night.
So if you're just joining us, it's an Orange County School of the Arts virtual production of Now Hear This, and it's at youtube.com/weareOCSA. There's this, that web address might be a little bit outdated though.
That's just a little crazy.
Yeah, I think it's youtube.com/weareOCSA.
Okay, good.
YouTube.com. Okay, we could put that in right now. But hold on. People can still donate. Oh, wait, there we are.
There we go.
There
we are.
So before we go, don't forget, Donate Stars in the House is going to be divided between all these different organizations. And
Thank you
guys, thanks. Just come every month. You're always so fun to have here. So
we love you guys.
Happy opening.
Yes.
We'll play our final credits. This is the song that Jeff was going to use in the musical he wrote.
There you
And lawsuit.